Hello and welcome, Ryan, to Fireside. Welcome everybody listening in. My name is Coach Ray Z, and this is Athletic Definition. This is Ryan's first time, so welcome. And it's the same thing, Ryan, to turn on the camera as we went over earlier. And to anyone listening in, including Ryan, if you want to share this stream, you can go ahead and do so by clicking on that little lines on the very bottom, and you'll see where it says broadcast to the world. You're able to just copy and paste or distribute to any social media, basically. That way people could listen in and watch. How you doing today, Ryan? Thank you for joining me.
I'm doing great, Ray. I'm having trouble turning on the camera here. I clicked on those two lines, but I don't see the icon for the camera, which is strange.
Hmm. Well, let's see here. Maybe I could do it. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
There we go.
All right. And thank you for everyone listening in. Everybody knows this is a new feature, so we're just kind of exploring. And so this is a first, and actually, you're my first kettlebell guest, which I'm
All
excited
right.
about. Uh,
Awesome.
a lot of people don't really know about kettlebells. I've had a few people tell me, "Oh, you can get certified in kettlebells." I didn't even know that. So I always like to start from the beginning. People always join in, and when it gets distributed as a podcast for new listeners, how did you get into working out?
I was always active growing up. I played a lot of different sports, and I used to watch my dad go to the gym, and I was like, man, I want to do that too. So when I was old enough, he got me a gym membership, and I would go there and lift weights with him. This was probably in like middle school, and I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I enjoyed it. Part of it was I was like inspired by him, and another part was I'm short. I'm like 5'7", so I'm vertically challenged. So like I knew I wasn't going to grow any taller, so I wanted to change my body by putting on more muscle mass, and that's really how I got started with working out. And I was doing a lot of bodybuilding type workouts. I actually competed in some natural bodybuilding shows in college and in my early 20s, and soon realized I wasn't the body type for that. I mean, it was a good experience. I learned a lot about nutrition, um, but ultimately, bodybuilding, that style of working out, just wasn't sustainable for me. And it took me a long time to figure out my niche in the fitness world. And it wasn't until a friend, another personal trainer, gave me a book by Pavel Tsatsouline. Um, if those of you out there who are listening are into kettlebells, look up his books, read his books. Um, the way he communicated these very complex ideas, he simplified things, and it was the first time I really ever learned how to fix a deadlift or how to apply the necessary tension and how to breathe properly to amplify your power. It was the first time someone ever really broke that down, and it really resonated with me. And I read that book, and then I remember at the end of the book, um, it had this like little insert where you could order more stuff or you could sign up for a certification. I was like, what is this RKC thing, Russian Kettlebell Challenge? So I looked into it, and I was like, oh, I got to sign up for this. It was my level one RKC in 2011, which completely changed my whole perspective on strength and movement. Because, like I said, I was doing bodybuilder type workouts and pounding myself into the ground with those high rep workouts. And once I became certified as an RKC in 2011, it completely changed my whole perspective on strength and movement. So that's kind of like how I got started with working out and how I got into kettlebells.
Oh, oh, that's interesting. You had that background in a natural bodybuilding. I'm actually going to have a natural bodybuilder competitor next week,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's a female, so it'll be an interesting perspective. And I think just recently I just watched the old school movie with Arnold. I can't even think of the name right
Pumping
now.
iron.
Pumping Iron. That's right.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what gave people the a more insight to. It's just not a bunch of lifting weight. It's like you're trying to make your body proportion and just trying to make the body look as perfect as possible. So it's a different perspective than just going up there and thinking guys are flexing or females for that matter as well.
Yeah, it's a real art. I had to learn how to pose and holding a pose. When you're sitting there contracting your muscles as hard as you can for 20, 30 seconds is very challenging. That was a part of my training was posing in front of the mirror and holding that pose. I would do that at the end of my workout, and it was exhausting, especially as you're starting to cut weight and you're not eating as many calories. It was very challenging. So it was a pretty cool experience, but it was very strict and you had to be very regimented. And I just got to a point where I was like, man, like I want to have some ice cream, or like I want to have some beer and some pizza and wings. And I just wasn't interested in dieting all the time.
And maybe if you have been doing the sport a lot or grow up watching it, it might be natural for you to go up there in tights. But for me, I think even if I was bodybuilding and really, built well, I would still feel a little bit subconscious. Was that an issue for you at all?
Actually, no, that wasn't really an issue for me because I'd spent so much time like getting very lean and staying muscular that I was ready to show off my body. So that wasn't really a consideration. Plus, when you're on stage, the way the lights are situated, it blacks out the audience. So it's very hard to see people in the audience. So it's really just you up there. And as long as you've been practicing your posing routine, the jitters you may experience, they go away very quickly because you just get into your routine. Um, so that part wearing a speedo wasn't uncomfortable for me. I also ran cross country and track and field in high school, and we wear booty shorts when we run. So, so that sensation of wearing like a speedo wasn't very foreign to me.
I go to the fitness expo a lot. It's in the daytime, so that's there's no stay. It's completely bright. So I although their physiques are amazing to me, I always think, if it's your first time, your nerves gotta be rattled a little bit by just going up there. Um,
Oh, for
and
sure. Yeah, it was more excitement. I mean, it was like nervous energy in a good way. But like once you get into the heat of competition, you kind of forget about, hey, I'm in a speedo, I'm almost naked, and there's like a couple hundred people in the audience.
and are you also like a historian of kettlebell and where it originated from, or are you just kind of
Yeah, a
a
little bit. I know a little bit of the background. I know that it has been used in Europe for several hundred years, um, with probably the most famous country being Russia, because that's where Pavel is from. He's Russian in origin. And really, I'm most familiar with the modern kettlebell movement here in the US that, as far as I know, got started in like 2000 with Pavel teaming up with Dragon Door and starting the first ever RKC. So that's the extent of my knowledge of the kettlebell and its history. I'm sure there's way more to it, but that's just what I've read.
yes, I brushed up a little bit right before it, and from what I was learning, it was actually used originally as a form of weight to counter the scale for food, and so that's why it was like in kilograms. And then it moved on to kind of like a family kind of thing that you would use it as like for sport during get-togethers, and then from there it kind of evolved a little bit into like I guess in St. Petersburg, Russia is kind of like the mecca maybe for sports, kind of. And then it came over here, and I saw that picture you have with Pavlik. I've never had the opportunity to meet him. How was it working and learning from him and getting certified by him?
It was amazing. I mean, it was a very challenging weekend because it's almost like you're trying to drink water from a fire hose. There's just so much information coming at you, and you're working hard for 3 straight days. The RKC has changed; it's now 2 days. It used to be three. It was just a lot of volume, but he is so brilliant, and he's such a nice dude too. Um, but I was definitely starstruck when I met him. But there's all these other instructors there that are helping lead the course, and they were some of the best strength and conditioning coaches that I had met in the fitness industry. And to be able to learn from Pavel and all these other coaches like Brett Jones, it was mind blowing to me. And it really changed my whole perspective on strength and movement. And it opened up a lot of opportunities and a lot of doors for me. That's where I really found my niche. And I felt like with this community, it was like an inch wide, but a mile deep. And when I went down that rabbit hole, that's where I also learned about like the FMS, the functional movement screen, and Gray Cook, primal movements, and becoming bulletproof, original strength, and those sorts of like movement philosophies. So the RKC really opened up this whole new door or whole new avenue of learning for me, which was pretty amazing.
And just looking at your profile and bio as well, I think it says you got up to 8 certifications with them. Were you able to hear me? Oh, looks like Ryan might have had some issues here, so we will wait for him to hop back on, or let me invite you back on here. And so, for everybody listening in, thank you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is brand new, so it is possible to have technical issues, and it could
Hey,
just be
Ray,
a
sorry
bad
about that.
internet connection. Oh, no problem. All right. So, this is all new, and there's really like no worries here. And now I cannot turn on your interview mode, so you might have the option yourself.
Okay, let me check that out. No, I don't see it in my options here.
All right. Well, we will just continue. Let me turn off my mode and then turn it back on, and then maybe I can do it for you. And nope. No, actually, it says I could turn it off, so that means I could turn it back on. And here we go. There we go. I think I just learned the workaround for uh, this, so you should be having the option now. And so, for everybody listening in, Fireside has now offered us the option to doing video, and so it is very cool because you can kind of just tap on the face and move it around, and you could, as the user, you can also click on their face and not see the video if you just want to listen to it as well. So that's a very neat option. And Ryan, let me know if you got that, or and
No,
it
I'm not seeing that option to turn on the camera again.
okay, no problem. We'll just continue like this.
Okay.
All right. And so yeah, I think we were leaving off on the different certifications. Do you have like I think it said like at least 8 of them?
Well, I had assisted at 8 different kettlebell certifications. So there's a point where if you do a really great job during the certification and you pass with flying colors, and maybe you do a little bit of networking. Oh, here we go with the camera.
I kept there we go, back on.
There we go. I'm back.
All right.
So yeah, I assisted at 8 different kettlebell certifications with Dragon Door. So that was the RKC, RKC Level 2, and the HKC, which is kind of an introductory course to kettlebells. And I
Okay.
was first invited back in 2013. I'm not sure why I was invited. I guess I stood out in my certification, or maybe I was just close enough to where it was being hosted that they needed some warm bodies. But it gave me an opportunity to meet some of the master instructors or the senior instructors and get to know them and figure out how kind of the whole thing works behind the scenes and how they run certifications, um, how many assistants they need. And I just always made myself available to assist at different certifications from New York to Virginia, where I used to live. And it was a wonderful experience because I got to be on the other side. Um, Rather than going through the certification and being worried about your strength and conditioning tests and doing all this work, I was able to listen to the master instructors and learn way more. And I was also able to do a little bit of teaching, which took my skill level to the next level. So that was really awesome. Um, and I did earn my level two in 2014, which was an incredible experience. And then I also have FMS, the functional movement screen, which was developed by Gray Cook and Lee Burton. So between those certifications, I feel like that has given me the right amount of information and practical knowledge to really help people achieve their fitness goals.
And since you are kettlebell certified, and is that the only workout tool that you use, or do you still work out with like dumbbells and do more of the typical like Olympic or powerlifting workouts as
I like to mix it up a little bit. Right now, I'm just working from home. I've been able to build my online business. I guess that was a silver lining to COVID and the quarantine. So I just have kettlebells. Um, so I've just been doing mostly kettlebell work, but recently I started a body weight program from the book called Convict Conditioning. It's a fantastic program and a great read. And at the end of my body weight workouts, I throw in some kettlebells for conditioning. So it's nice to get back to some body weight exercises. Um, but when I was working out of gyms, I would do a lot of barbell work because I competed in a couple of weightlifting competitions called the Tactical Strength Challenge. I don't know if you're familiar with that weightlifting competition, but this Tactical Strength Challenge was an awesome event. And there were three lifts that you would do. You would do a max deadlift, the most number of pull ups you could do in a 5 minute kettlebell snatch test. So it was a good combination of barbell, body weight, and kettlebell that you would have to train with. So really, barbell, body weight, and kettlebell are the things that I enjoyed working with the most. Now that I'm working from home, it's kettlebells and body weight exercises.
well? And I'm glad you brought that up because pretty much everybody I've been having on the show, if you're in fitness, just like everybody else, COVID affected trainers in a major way. Were you, and you mentioned online, so that sounds like you weren't doing that prior to it, or were you a little bit dabbling in it, or were you more in person at a gym?
I was dabbling in the online space. Back in about 2015, one of my longtime clients, he still works with me online. He moved across the country and he was like, I will pay you to write workouts for me. And that's where my online training was born. And for a number of years, I would just have a handful of online clients while I was working with people in person. I was building my own personal training business. Um, and then COVID hits, so I have to quickly pivot, and I'm working with clients on Zoom doing one-on-one training. And then I'm like, all right, I have these handful of clients that are doing the online kettlebell training with me. It's so much more efficient. Let's see if I can expand on that and create some really cool programs that'll really help people. And that's what I did when COVID first hit, in like the spring of 2020. I spent a lot of time developing programs that would help people go from maybe beginner to kind of intermediate to advanced, and then have an advanced program. Um, and I thought it was going to be tricky to set it up, but it was actually pretty easy. Because I think most people, when they think about kettlebells and working with a coach, like I need someone there in person to help me with my form. So I found some very creative ways to work around that, where I can still help people with their form and get them to improve their form online, even though we're not in person.
And yes, especially now with COVID, online is a great option. I used to really not be a fan. I have now learned to do some great online training. I've met some good online coaches, and um, the way we actually kind of met is because we belong to a kettlebell community, and I always see your videos, and they're very well. How can I say? They're everything you're very informative and
Oh, thank you.
very technical, and so I like to bring on people that are inspirational or could just kind of give knowledge. And kettlebells, I don't know, it's kind of like popular but not really, kind of started getting a little bit popular, and then it just kind of died down. And I think, even when I first started working out with it, it was I was dating a girl, and she had one at her house, and I kind of picked it up. I'm like, I wonder how to really do this. And I just started doing like logical things with it. And then as I learned more, I'm like, oh, this is really, really fascinating, because it really helps for people who've never tried it with imbalances in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely. Yeah, doing those one arm kettlebell exercises, it really identifies your weaknesses and you're able to strengthen those weaknesses by working just one side at a time. But even though you are just working one side at a time, it takes your entire body to work together in a coordinated fashion to move the kettlebell. So that was one of the things that really, I guess, resonated with me was just how efficient it was and how athletic and how dynamic the movements were. Because at the time I was introduced to kettlebells, I was studying kung fu, and I saw so many parallels between what I was doing with kung fu and kettlebells, and as far as like the breath work, the total body coordination, just the focus and the intensity. It was incredible. I was like, oh my god, like it's very applicable to everyday life, and just being a stronger human being. So that's what I really love about the kettlebell is that it can really help anyone, no matter where you are in life.
okay, so you did some martial arts as well. How far did you get in martial arts?
Um, I studied with an instructor for about 5 years, and the main style of kung fu that I did was Wing Chun, and then also Tai Chi. Um, So Wing Chun was definitely more martial and for self defense, and Tai Chi was more of like a moving meditation for me. It was good exercise, but I found it to be very meditative. And I got into a little bit of qigong, which I still do every morning. It's kind of how I wake my body up. So I
And
found, yeah,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead, Ray.
cut you off, but you were mentioning the qigong, and one guy that's in the kettlebell world that kind of at least is credited with, and he may be the first, Steve Cotter, I believe is his last name, and
Yes.
he kind of mixes qigong with kettlebell and spiritual. Do you? I'm sure you've are familiar with them, or do you kind of mix it like that as well, like your workouts for your clients, or you kind of keep it separated?
I keep it separated from my clients. Um, I am familiar with Steve Cotter. I would like to get more into his work. Um, but yeah, I know he's like pretty big in the kettlebell world. He's a pretty fascinating guy. But for my clients, I don't mix the qigong in because I think when some people hear that, it kind of turns them off. It's most people when they come to you for working out, they want to sweat, they want to lose weight, they want to feel a little sore, they want to get their heart rate up. They're not interested in like breath work or connecting your meridians or anything like that. So I kind of stay out of that with my clients.
No, and that's understandable. I completely agree with you. A lot of people are kind of like, they feel it has to be a certain way to be an effective workout, and
Right.
a lot of those are not even accurate, or beneficial. Um, and this is the great thing about this platform, is where I'm bringing on those type of people a little bit, so that you can see for yourself, hear them out, and maybe you'll get into it, because as you're doing kettlebell, breath work is important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you have to breathe for a number of reasons. I mean, the main one being you need oxygen so you don't pass out. But with the hard style kettlebell training that I do and that I teach, we use the breath to produce more power, almost like throwing a punch. If you watch boxing or MMA, when guys strike, they'll or like that. So that's how we use the breath to create more power and pass that power into the kettlebell. And also, when we use that hard style type of breathing, it helps contract the abs even more, which creates a very stable environment for the spine. So we use breathing to make sure we're getting oxygen to our brain, to produce more power, and to create safety for the lower back. So breathing is essential. Um, and yeah, I think some people are a little weirded out by making noises when they're working out, making that exhale, but it makes a huge difference with with your lifts. It really does.
And so is that pretty much the, for people who are barely learning about kettlebells, is that the main difference is in a hard style kettlebell, just the way you breathe, or is there something other than that?
Yeah, there are several differences. Now, I'm not well versed in the other styles of kettlebell. I know there's like kettlebell sport or Girivoy sport. There's juggling. Um, so I can really only comment on the hard style or Russian style of training. So it's we call it hard style because we're more focused on power production as opposed to like the kettlebell sport where it's more about conservation of energy because you're having to do these super long sets and you're trying to do a lot of reps. Whereas with the hard style training, we're trying to give 100%, or almost 100% on every single rep. So rather than trying to do these long cycle sets where we're trying to get like 100 reps, we really emphasize give as much as you can with just a few reps, take a little bit of rest, and then repeat. Go 100%. Learn how to really tense your muscles and grind through a movement, or be explosive and give it everything you can, and really tense your muscles even during the explosive movements. So it's kind of like hard style is like sprinting, and the sport, kettlebell sport, is more like distance running. That's kind of how I see it.
No, that's a very good explanation. And so, what do you kind of focus on your clients? What are do beginners, kids, like what's your preferred type of client?
Yeah, so most of the clients that I work with are busy men and women who want to get in better shape, lose body fat, lose weight. They might be kind of new to kettlebells and they haven't quite figured out how to put together the right exercises in the right order to get the maximum results. Or maybe they've been doing kettlebells for a while and their form just doesn't feel right. Their lower back could hurt them, or the neck might always feel like it's always straining when they're doing swings or other movements. Um, so I work with people who are new to kettlebells or people who have some experience, and I take them through my tested kettlebell system. So we make sure that we're using the right form. We're following a sound.
We lost you there for a little bit, Ryan. And for anyone listening in the meantime, till Ryan gets his connection back, if you're interested in learning about kettlebell or contacting Ryan, you can see on the Fortune Cookie his website. And Ryan has a lot of experience, as I mentioned. I watch a lot of his videos, and he's very knowledgeable. And so right now, what I'm trying to do as I speak is invite him back up here.
Hey, Ray. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, I think my phone is slowly dying on me today. I was having trouble using the GPS earlier today.
You mean it's time to get a new one?
Possibly, or I just need to turn it off for a couple hours.
Well, there's really no time limit. So if it's gonna die, let me know. And that's a great thing about having your own show. I don't have to answer to no producers or nothing. I
Right.
can just be like, cut. And we kind of were talking about a little bit how kettlebells kind of started getting popular, not you know as a kettlebell coach, and obviously you're a fan, or you wouldn't have got so into it.
Right.
What do you think could be done to kind of get awareness out and make it maybe more popular?
I think what we're doing, things like this, having a conversation about kettlebells. I always try and post on social media like 5, 6 days a week, something about health, fitness, and kettlebells. So I think just always talking about it will help. Um, the interesting thing about kettlebell is that when people see it, they are intrigued. Like you kind of mentioned that you were intrigued when you first saw it, but since it's not very flashy, I think people get bored with it right away. Um, so it is something that requires a lot of attention and practice. I always liken it to learning a new sport. Like, let's say you were to go learn to play basketball. You wouldn't go jump in a pickup game. You would probably practice the fundamentals of dribbling, shooting, passing, playing defense, and rebounding. That's kind of like learning how to work out the kettlebell. You want to take your time to learn the right form first, and then you can apply it to your workout. So I think A lot of people are impatient. They just want to sweat. They want to go, 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 go. And they have this more, more, more mentality. When in reality, if we slow down and focus on our technique, that's going to take us way further and we're going to be a lot stronger for a lot longer. So I think that's where kettlebells kind of get pushed to the side because it's not something flashy, it's not something easy. It does take time and practice. So I'm okay with it being kind of like an underground thing because I find that very appealing. Um, so for me, I'm okay with it. I'll keep talking about it every day on social media, but I'm okay if it stays underground.
And earlier you mentioned there's juggling in kettlebells, and there are some guys out there that are doing some ridiculous things, in my opinion. Cool, very cool,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm like, wow, you really mastered the kettlebell, and then you had some extra time on your hands to be able to, I mean, the balancing acts that they're doing, and I seen this one guy just awesome kettlebell flow, throwing it, catching it, and that's good because that helps with the popularity. But then it's bad because nobody in all the different sports that I play wants to start off with basics. They all want
Right.
that flash, and so
Mm-hmm.
it helps with the popularity. But then you get the guy like, oh, I want to do this, and they get bored, and kettlebell. I'm a big fan of it. Yesterday, I asked my guest if you were stuck in an island, and you could only take one workout tool, what would it be?
For
And
me, it would have to be a
yeah.
kettlebell, probably a 20-kilogram kettlebell, and I could train with that for the rest of my life.
Now, I was about to say kettlebell myself, but then she mentioned rocks, and I'm like, oh, maybe
Oh,
maybe I could kind of make my own kettlebells, and I'll just take some resistant bands.
yeah, there you
So,
go.
so I think that's going to be a question I ask everybody. If you were in an island, no workout equipment, only one you choose, I really was going to say the kettlebell because it's so kind of handy. You can use it for everything, even get a good cardio workout.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love how it blends kind of strength and cardio. It kind of blurs the line between those two. So again, it makes working out very efficient. So you don't have to go do cardio after you've lifted weights because you kind of get that blend from working with kettlebells.
And as far as kids, like, heavy weight is not recommended for, younger kids because of stunting their growth. What do you think about kettlebells?
Um, I've never really trained young children. I've worked with high school athletes, and they respond really well to kettlebells. I think if the programming is sound and the technique is spot on, then I think it's okay for kids to lift some weight. Um, I think the most important thing for kids is to like play sports and be able to just do the body weight exercises. Like, can they squat? Can they do a push up? Can they do a pull up? But I do know kettlebell instructors who have kids, and their kids will swing kettlebells and they'll do Turkish geps and stuff, and they're like 10, 12 years old. Um, and it's just working natural movement patterns. And the kettlebells are pretty light, so I don't think the kids are in any danger. So I think that's one of the nice things about kettlebells that you can always scale down, or you can scale up depending on the level of the person.
I agree. I think that as long as you don't go too heavy, they're great, especially for like high school.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and then, uh, you know, besides it just kind of being so convenient, like the only thing is during COVID, the prices went up, but they don't take up much space. Like, oh, you don't need a bench or a rack or all these other things. So they're very convenient in that way as well. I'm sure you have a large collection.
I do. Yeah, I have probably 20 kettlebells at my house, and when we go on vacation, assuming we're driving somewhere, I always bring a kettlebell or two because I just love working out with it, even on vacation. Like, we're going to the beach in about 2 weeks, and I love working out on the deck, looking out over the ocean, or I take it down to the sand and work out down there early in the morning. And it's awesome. I love it. I love the fact that it is portable if you're driving. Um, so there's really no excuse not to use your kettlebell.
And I really also like to having the same weight of another kettlebell, and then you can do with two arms at the same time, which is another variety that I think a lot of people may not even think about because kettlebells uh, aren't that popular or widely known. And when you get two kettlebells in the same hand, it definitely changes the same type of workout. And it's great variety because people get bored so easily, and so I try and kind of mix it up a little bit, just because people seem to have ADD more,
Yeah.
and I give them a little bit of kettlebell and a little bit of something else, but then that kind of keeps that enthusiasm. And your programming for your clients, is it pretty much kettlebells like the whole time, or are
I
you
mix in
doing?
body weight exercises for a little variety, but kettlebells do make up the foundation of their training. Um, because it does build a great base of strength. It's a great way to build lean muscle mass while at the same time burning fat. And most of the workouts I plan for my clients are 30 to 40 minutes. They're not very long. So that's one of the things I love about it. It's very time efficient.
All right, so right now, with COVID, a lot of people started kind of eating because they were bored, stress. And so there's a lot of people that are just kind of thinking about working out, but maybe they need some sort of word of encouragement. What would you say to someone who's kind of like on the fence, who wants to get started?
Go to my website. Go to rjkettlebell.com. I have free kettlebell plans that you can download. I have a 5-day kettlebell plan that's great for beginners. So maybe you're new to kettlebells, you're not quite sure how to put a workout together that'll get the results you want, or maybe you're just not sure how to use the right form. I completely break it down the form so you know what you're doing. And I have a program for you to follow. I also have a 2-week advanced kettlebell program. Maybe you know how to do some of the more advanced movements like the one arm swing, clean, and press. I show you how to put them together into really efficient workouts that are really focused on building lean muscle, burning fat, all in a very time efficient manner. So if you need a structured program to follow because you're not sure what to do on your own, I invite you to check out my website rjkettlebell.com and just click on free kettlebell workouts and just choose the plan that suits you for where you are right now.
And as I mentioned earlier, I've seen Ryan's workouts. He's a very well versed, knowledgeable, and I'm a coach myself. And the thing is, I don't believe that, oh, you can't have another coach, because I believe it's about collaboration and not so much hating. And my kettlebell knowledge goes so far, and in everything else. And so I have no problem with saying, well, I've done what I can with you. Let me refer you to some better expert at this or that, or nutrition coach, or sometimes it's doctors. And that's how I think it should be now. Too many people are just kind of like, it's all competition. And uh, when I send you the invite, I was, very happy that you were like willing to come on, and I was thinking to reaching out to you, but you kind of beat me to the punch, and I'm glad we got to talk about kettlebell. I know people were like, "Oh, I'm going to listen to that one, even if I can't be there live, because I want to know more about kettlebells." It is a curiosity thing, and I don't think that at most major gyms I've seen really kettlebell instructors.
No, kettlebell instructors are few and far between when you look at personal training as a whole. Um, because most gyms don't carry a lot of kettlebells, or if they do have them, they're in some corner collecting dust. And again, it's not flashy. Clients, they want to do stuff that's fun and exciting, and it's very easy to learn. Where kettlebells, it takes time. Um, but those that are kettlebell certified, I find are very knowledgeable, and they're great coaches because you've learned all this very complex information and you need to learn how to communicate it to others in a simple way. So I think learning these very complex things and then trying to teach them to others makes us better coaches, trying to simplify information and figure out what works for some people, what might work for other people. So I think it's important to always push your learning boundary and learn more about whatever subject you're fascinated with. And for me, that's kettlebells. So I just eat, live, and breathe kettlebells. And like you said, I think it's great to reach out to other professionals. Um, because when I was working with clients in person, I had built up this really great network of wellness professionals I could refer out to, like massage therapists, chiropractors, physical therapists. And now that I'm working pretty much online, I have to rebuild my network. So it's great that we can connect. I just connected with a clinical nutritionist earlier in the week who I could now can send clients to because my nutrition knowledge isn't as top notch as her nutrition knowledge. So I think it's awesome that we're connecting here.
Yes, and maybe to people listening in, if your knowledge is just not like top knowledge like someone else, that doesn't mean that you're not knowledgeable or that you're a bad coach. There's so many things that you can learn in life. There's just not enough time to become an expert at everything. If you become an expert like in jujitsu, you're not going to be an expert probably at dunking a basketball. And so it's possible, like I've spent many years doing different sports and martial arts. I wouldn't say I'm an expert at any of them, but you can definitely like hone your skills. But most people just won't take the time to do that. And uh, I love this because I don't know if there's been another kettlebell show on here, and it's a first. And
Nice.
I just want people to be aware. I'm bringing in like the things that, in my opinion, don't get mainstream, and I believe they should. Do you think kettlebell belongs in the Olympics as a sport?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think it would be awesome to see it because they have the traditional weightlifting, and you're seeing all these new sports coming into the Olympics. And I think kettlebells would be phenomenal. That would be so cool to see that.
I Yes, I would like to see that, and then that'll definitely help with the popularity of it. And yet, there's so many different sports. They just, I believe, accepted karate, which
Yeah.
they've had taekwondo. I personally would love to see jujitsu.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, it's like it's almost there. They already have judo and wrestling. I mean,
right.
why
The
not?
only
Why
thing is,
not BJJ?
I think it's just like any other sport, like kettlebell. If you don't know the rules, to the average person, they're just not really like getting it, and it's
Right.
harder to get excited about something if you don't understand even the basics. And the great thing about kettlebells, it's not really that hard to understand the basics, and then uh, in sports is different. Like you mentioned, it's all about endurance. I don't think I have no interest in competing in kettlebell sports,
Yeah.
but I don't take anything away from those athletes, and I know what they're doing and the time limits. To me, it seems kind of like the uh, what is it called? Those games that they have, the CrossFit games, kind
Right.
of a little bit. It's like endurance and repetition, and they're athletes, but that's just not my thing.
Right. Yeah. I
Eh,
mean, those competitions look brutal. I mean, they're doing like 10-minute sets, clean and jerk as many times as you can in 10 minutes or 10 minutes of double snatches. And you don't put I don't know if you can put the kettlebell down or not. I'm not sure. But it's just like, it's brutal from like what I've seen. I've watched some YouTube videos and man, they got to train so hard for that stuff because I think a lot of it's also mental. You can build your body up, but in the heat of competition, you're probably stressed out. Um, Man, I can't even imagine doing a kettlebell competition where you got to go for 10 minutes. That's insane to me.
yes. Now, Ryan, besides your website, is there anywhere else people can follow you if you want to give out any of your social media, or if you don't really do that, that's fine as well.
Yeah, you can follow me and friend me on Facebook. Just type in my name, Ryan Jankowitz, and send me a friend request, and I'll accept your friend request. I post a lot of stuff on Facebook. I do a lot of free webinars and free challenges each month. So, yeah, find me on Facebook or go to my website and download one of my free kettlebell programs.
And that free kettlebell program, I'll probably have to check it out myself. How long is it? Like, is it a
So,
40-minute workout? You said roughly.
the workouts probably between like 30 and 40 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, not too long, but get your heart rate up, make you sweat a little bit.
And is this free workout like PDF or video where I could follow along?
It's a PDF.
Okay.
In the future, I do plan to make some follow along kettlebell workouts, so stay tuned. Hopefully, in the next month or two, I'll have those ready.
Oh, great. And then once you have anything in the future, since you're my first guest on video, I definitely want to have you back
Awesome.
in
I'd
the
love to be
future.
back.
We could talk more kettlebell. And uh, is there anything else you want to promote or want to let people know?
No, just check out my website, rjkettlebell.com. Download free workouts. If you want to follow me on Facebook, just find me, Ryan Jankowitz, and I would love for you to send me a friend request.
Great. And then let me go ahead and do my little closing here. I was recently accepted as an ambassador or given an ambassadorship for the Orange County Marathon over here in California. And so if you're interested in running a 5K, a half marathon, or a marathon, it is November 7th. You can use Ray's Run, the number 10. So that's RAYSRUN, the number 10, and you can get 10% off on any race that you want to run. And it's a great way to use it for motivation. I've done that marathon many times and I hold my PR course on there as well, a little bit under 4 hours. So I would love to go back and definitely break that time as well. And you can also find me on coachrayz.com, and all my social medias are the same, Coach Ray Z. I want to thank Ryan. Thank you so much for joining me again and trying the video option with me and everyone listening in. Until next week, where I have my show every Thursday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time zone here on Fireside.
Thanks, Ray.